Hey Yoga fam, Jessie here. Today I just feel like moving in my body, so that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna move things, stir them up, shake them around. So we'll start by doing that with our wrists. We'll roll them up, stir them around, shake them out, whatever you want to do with your wrists. Sometimes I like to do what I call like rave rolls, like you were like making shapes with glow sticks. When people used to go together in dark, sweaty basements and do stuff like that. You could be having fun with that. You could be rolling them out in a different way, maybe shaking or flicking your fingers. And then move that action up into your elbows. So, however that shows up in your body today, you could roll your elbows back, open and close them, and then eventually start moving into your shoulders. So, maybe circles, shoulders shrugs, stretching up, maybe out or back. Oh, and then you got it. Like you're probably already doing it naturally. Let that move either up into your head and neck or eventually down into your rib cage. hmm Maybe you're kind of moving everything. Maybe you want to isolate some movement. Maybe your neck needs a little attention. Maybe one shoulder likes a particular action and you want to do it a few times. And then, if you haven't already, let your hips and pelvis move around, maybe forwards and backwards, or deepening your legs in their hip sockets. You could bend and extend your knees a couple of times. Shake out your ankles, roll those around. And see if you could kind of get everything to move a little bit. Ooh, maybe you get a foot crack. And then come all the way back through center. Press down through all four corners of your feet. Your arms can rest down alongside your body. If it's comfortable and safe where you are to close your eyes, you could let your eyes close for a few breaths. On a breath in, bring your arms up in the air. Keep stretching as high as you'll go. So maybe your shoulders creep up towards your earlobes for a couple of breaths. That's okay. And then big breath out. Arms come down. One more time, big breath in. This time, exhale, hinge at your hips, forward fold. Come on down. And then plant your hands and step back to a plank pose, top of a plank. We're getting right into it today. So when you get into your plank pose, for a moment here, actually drop your knees to the floor and bring your hands so that your shoulders are stacked right over your wrists. You might have been a little wide or a little forward or a little narrow. Press down through the base of your first finger knuckles, draw up through the inner edges of your arms, and see if you can plug your shoulders a little closer together. Press down through the pinky edge of your hand. See if you can grip the mat with your fingers, and then lift your knees back up. Whew. So from your hands all the way up into your shoulders, into your core, just like we did when we were just moving things, now we're charging them up. Take another deep, full breath. And then exhale, lift your hips, down dog. Whew, soften your knees. Let your head get a little heavy. You might want to pedal things out or shift things around. Maybe you want to readjust your stance or your grip. And then when you're ready, come on down to the floor. Knees wide, toes together. Sit your hips back. child's pose, but just for like 3 to 5 deep breaths. And instead of this being like a collapsed, like restorative, I don't mean collapsed in like a bad way. I just mean like, non-structured child's pose. We want a structured child's pose here. We want to press into our hands, reach hips towards heels, big deep breath. See if you can draw from your hands up into your shoulders, and then from your shoulders, press back into your hands. Use that to reach your hips a little closer to your heels. And stay charged up in the arms. Come all the way back up to plank. Ooh. Try to press the floor away. Take a deep, full breath in, and then exhale, bend your elbows, lower all the way down. Release the tops of your feet. Roll your shoulders away from the mat. Come up into a low cobra. And then exhale, release. Bring your arms alongside your body. Let your head go to one side. And just let your arms do whatever they want. Couple of breaths here. Keep your fingertips reaching back towards your feet. Roll your shoulders away from the floor and press into the tops of your legs, the tops of your toes to lift your chest. Keep your chin tucked and see if you can reach your head away from your heels. One more deep breath. And then exhale, release. Turn your head the other way. Let your head and shoulders come down. Come back through the middle. This time, you could keep reaching your hands behind you. You could also interlace your fingers at your low back. Roll your shoulder blades on. Same action, just different hand grip. So as you press into your legs, try to get longer through the spine and see if you can use that length to lift instead of lifting to find length. Just explore what that means in your body for another breath or two. And then on a breath out, release. Bring your hands alongside your body and press up and back. Downward facing dog. Deep breath in. Big breath. Take a nice, easy walk to the front of the mat. So you can interpret what that means in your own body. That could be slow, that could be quick. Whatever it is, let it be an option that doesn't stress you out. Stay with your breath. And when you end up in a forward fold, take a version that gives you some space in your back, gives you a little bit of release through maybe a part of the body that wants that. Maybe there's places in the body that need support. Whatever it is, stay with it. On your next breath in, extend out long through your back. Bend your knees a little bit. Draw your belly button towards your spine. And then reach your head away from your hips. So fingertips are still on the floor. That means your knees can be all the way bent. But see if you can reach like your shoulders wanted to get away from your hips a little bit. And then big breath out. Keep the connection. Lift the hips. Let your head come down. So we're doing these, they're like halfway lifts and lowers, but you want to glue your body, like your torso, to your thigh. So you want to like smush yourself down in there and see if you can get some extension in your back by pressing down into your hands and feet. So from the ground to charge all the way up, draw your low belly in. See if you can lengthen from the top of your head to the tip of your tailbone. And then big breath out. to extend your knees. Let your head and shoulders come down. Try to keep yourself in that smooshed up place. One more just like that. Press, draw in and up. Breathe. And when you're ready, release. Hands to hips, shoulder blades together. Push into your feet, come all the way up to stand. Bring your arms up as high in the air as they want to go. And then tip to the side. I'm going to the right, so I've got right hand down my leg, left arm up and overhead. And then go the other way. Take your time. And come all the way back up. And then release. Shake out your shoulders a little bit. We're going to bring our feet a little wider apart side to side, about as wide apart as the mat. I turned to face the camera. You don't have to move. Bend your knees. Bring your elbows to the tops of your thighs. And we'll come into a little pep talk pose. So how are we doing? See if you can use the support of your elbows to sit a little deeper in your hips. Maybe wiggle yourself down a little bit. Keep your chest and shoulders lifted. One more deep, full breath. And then exhale, forward fold. This time, grab opposite arms with your hands. Give yourself a little hold on the backs of the triceps and elbows. And then we'll swing the upper body like a little pendulum, side to side. Knees could stay bent, or you could have a more extended knees. And then release your hands back down to the floor. Keep your right knee, or your right foot where it is. Bend your right knee and step your left foot back behind you. Lift your chest and shoulders. Let your hips drop for a breath. And then exhale, lift your hips up into the air, straighten your right leg, but crawl your hands to the the top left corner of your mat. So you're in kind of a pyramid, triangle, hybrid made up pose. So you can make it up. A couple of times you might want to bend and extend your front knee. That might be interesting. You might just find a cool place to pause. And then walk yourself back in. Press all the way back. Three-legged down dog. Lift your right leg in the air. Stack your hips, open up. Bend your right knee. Let your heel fall towards your butt. Let your head fall towards the mat. Take a deep breath in. Exhale, draw your right knee in and up. Come all the way up into Warrior Two. Spin your back heel down. Arms open wide. And sit your hips down. See if you can find a little bit of the sense that there are things still moving in our bodies, even when we find a static hold, even when we come into a pose for a long time. So see if you can sit a little deeper. If maybe you weren't afraid of being here for a long time. That's it. Take another deep, full breath. And then exhale, hands around your front leg. Step back, move through your vinyasa. So your vinyasa could be coming through plank and lowering to your belly foot back bend. It could be child's pose or down dog. It could be another asana that we haven't done yet today that your body has specifically asked for. But after you take a few breaths to locate yourself, we'll meet up back in downward facing dog. And take another easy walk forward, all the way up to the front edge of your mat. Lots of little steps forward, no rush to get anywhere. Maybe one big hop. And when you get into your forward fold, take any variation that you want. You could add a shoulder rinse. You could have any stance between your feet side to side. Inhale to lift halfway. Exhale, forward fold. Press into your feet. Stand all the way up. Arms lift as high in the air as you want. And exhale, arms alongside your body. Just a few breaths here in Tadasana. Check in. Notice where your breath is filling into. See if you can smooth it out a little bit. Maybe through the nose, maybe out through the mouth a couple of times. We're going to bring our feet as wide apart as the mat, side to side again. And this time, option to either stay with your elbows on your thighs for pep talk pose, or you can lower your hips down into a squat, Malasana. So in this pose, we want our knees and toes to go in the same direction. We want our feet to be able to press all the way down into something. So if your heels are lifted, one strategy would be to shift where your feet are. Another strategy would be to put a rolled towel or blanket under your heels, which is really easy to do, and it actually opens the hips a ton, whether or not your feet come to the floor naturally. So that's a great option if you like that, or if you want that extra floor. And then wherever you are, see if you can sit up a little taller. If you can hug your shoulder blades together, press into your feet, press into your hands. Draw from the edges, from your hands and feet, all the way up through your arms, through your limbs, into your core. See if you can draw up through the top of the head, tailbone reaches down. And then exhale, forward fold, lift your hips, lower your head and shoulders. This time we will add a shoulder rinse. Interlace your fingers, roll your upper arm bones back. And then let your head hang heavy, knuckles towards the ceiling, maybe even starting to reach up and overhead. And exhale, release. Inhale to lift halfway. Exhale, bend into your left knee, step your right foot all the way back. Low lizard lunge for a breath here. Hands can be inside your front leg, chest and shoulders lift. And then exhale, lift your hips in the air. Reach your right heel back. It can spin to the floor if you want. And then arms crawl on a right diagonal for this kind of outer hip IT band focused shape. So down the outside of your leg is kind of where my intention for this to land. You might feel it somewhere totally different, which is awesome. Maybe in your low back or somewhere in your back leg. Who knows? Again, if you wanted to bend and extend your front knee a couple of times, that's always an option. And then we're going to spin the back heel down, walk ourselves up and around, come up into warrior two. Just find a place that you can watch the movement in this one shape. We've stirred things up, we've moved things around, built some heat. So what does that do? What does the heat want to do? What do you want to do with that heat? A couple more deep, full breaths. And exhale. Cartwheel the hands down. Step back, three-legged down dog. I know we did one of these on the first side, but I don't really remember where, so we'll get it here. Stack your hips, open up. Yeah, I think we skipped it in that sequence. But we'll use it for something tricky here. So draw your left knee in, step your left foot forward, and walk yourself around into a wide leg forward fold, which of course has me with my butt to the camera. So hi. We won't be here for too long. We're coming into a speed skater stretch. So you're going to walk your hands over towards your right foot, bend your knee, sit your butt back, maybe spin up onto the heel of the left foot. Try to keep your chest and shoulders lifted. And then crawl yourself through the middle and go the other way. So I'm using my my arms to support me. Some of you might not need to. You could just go side to side. This might actually just be bending one knee at a time. You might not be sitting or lifting anything. And all of it is good. All of it's getting into the muscles we want. So no worries. Couple more. And then come all the way back around the front foot. Step your back foot forward, forward fold. Press into your feet, stand all the way up, arms lift, and exhale, arms down alongside your body. Take a few breaths in Tadasana. I'm ready for some water, maybe you are too. All right, so we are going to go into a chair pose. Feet can be as wide apart as you want. Bend your knees, sit your hips back. Utkatasana. So from here, you're gonna sit your hips as low as you need to bring, I'm gonna step away from the wall, to bring your upper body onto your thighs. And then see if you can reach your head away from your hips. From here, keep smooshing into your legs with your body and see if you can bring your hands to the floor. It doesn't matter where, just hands to the floor. Keep your knees bent. Press into your hands, press into your feet. See if you can lengthen your spine. Draw your belly button towards your back. And then exhale, forward fold, let it go. Press into your feet and stand all the way up. Deep breath in. And exhale, hands to the side. All right, we're going to add on a little bit. We'll come into chair pose. Bend your knees. Sit your hips back. Okay. Keep your shoulders hugging. Sit your hips even lower. Like how low can you sit your hips and keep your feet on the floor? That might be really low. That might be not low at all. And then eventually see if you can sit so close that you come onto the floor. Tricky. Come all the way onto your back. Bring your knees in towards your chest. Flex your feet. Press your shins and hands together and reach your tailbone forward and down so that your low back lifts from the floor a little bit. But then draw your low ribs in, draw your low belly down, and see if you can bring your legs a little closer to your body. Keep all that. Reach your hands forward and push. Tuck your chin. See if you can get your elbows above your knees, either by hugging in or pushing out or both. And then release. Open all the way up. It's nice to be on the floor. So there's that. And then one more time, bring your knees in. This time, we're going to widen the knees side to side. Flex your feet. Keep the inner edges of your feet touching. And then bring your, these things, your arms up into the air. Before we do anything else, walk your shoulder blades a little closer just for a moment here. And then push your hands up towards the ceiling. Hug your knees towards your chest. And then keep your head and shoulders together as you reach up. We're just going to do little pulses. You could hold if you'd prefer. Just notice your neck. Try not to have it be crunching in either direction. And then go ahead and release. Bring your feet on the floor, knees bent. Cross your right ankle over the left knee. Just a little Suchi Antrasana here. Keep your arms where they are, but hug your knees in. Lift your left foot. And then same thing. So arms come up and press up towards, like you were going to rest your shin bone above your elbows. And then release. Bring your left foot to the floor. Tip your legs to the left, right foot to the ground. That should just feel nice. And then come back through the middle. And we'll switch sides. So I'll cross left ankle over the right knee. Start with a simple figure 4 stretch for your outer hip, inner thigh. And then we'll add that little crunch up. So, little crunch up. Bring your legs in, reach your hands up. Ooh, this side might be real different than the first side. So, instead of overdoing it, see if you can just more evenly distribute what's going on. So, when I crunch up to my full range of motion on this side, my left hip goes like, hell no. So, instead of smushing it, I kind of backed off and instead see if I can get that core engagement to lead the way. And then when you're ready, release that. Tip the shape over to the right for an outer hip thigh twist. There you go. There you go, me. And come back through center. All right. So, what we're going to do is bring our hands around our knees. We're going to hug in. We're going to bring our nose as close to our toes as it'll go. And then I'm rocking a little bit side to side just to get myself like ready to rock. You're going to rock forwards and backwards, but it's not momentum. So see how I can pump my legs and get more rock? It's not what we're going for. We're going for this tiny little egg movement. You want your nose and knees to stay as close together as they can. See if you can come all the way up to sitting. So that's the first little exercise. I'm probably shaking the camera with my ass. And then once you've like kind of successfully done that a couple of times, you can ditch the holding onto the legs and see if you can come up to chair pose. Oh. And maybe you can, maybe you can't today. I don't know if I can. But I tried. When you get all the way up to chair pose, take a deep breath and then come all the way up to stand. All right, so we're going to do a little Bakasana crow pose from here. I really like thinking about this shape like the engagement we've been playing with leading up to it. So from the hands and feet up to the middle, and from the middle back down into the hands and feet. So that the whole body is doing the pose, because like this is a pose that you can certainly stack your joints and just kind of like balance in it. It's also a pose that you can use to build a lot of heat in the body, and have kind of everyone work together, which I think is really beneficial for our nervous system. So as you're working on this, ujjayi breath, like breathing through your nose, constricting the muscles in the back of your throat, is going to help soothe your nervous system while we do this engagement, which um, I don't know if you've ever like felt that like feeling after a yoga class where you kind of feel integrated and supported. I think that type of um, that type of nerve support like really is part of it. So for whatever that's worth today, if you're like, I don't want to work on crow, work on your nervous system. Or why not both, right? So to start, we're going to bring our feet together as close as they'll go. And then we're going to hug our knees towards one another, upper inner thighs hug. Try to widen through the back of the pelvis. Maybe your hip creases deepen a little bit. And then root from your outer legs to lift up and neutralize the pelvis. That should get a sense of from your feet hugging all the way up and around your legs into the middle of your body. From there, we're going to press back down into the balls of the feet to lift the heels. So instead of like you could do it with your ankles, and you probably should a couple of times just to feel like, oh, this is my ankles. Then hug in and press down to get your inner thighs and your low core to lift and lift you up. Very good. From here, we're going to add the arms. We're going to do it in chair pose. We've already been here. So you can keep your legs this close together. You could bring them like hips distance apart. Both are going to work. I like squeezing my legs onto each other for this, so you do you. We're going to sit the hips back, bring the arms up, charge up the legs in that same way. Flex your palms so that your wrists crease. And then press down into your feet, hug your inner thighs together, come up onto your tiptoes, reach your hands forward, and see if you can bring your hands to the floor. So your belly and chest should be on your thighs. Your heels are up. Try to hug your legs together even if they're not touching. And then lift your hips. Come forward, bend your elbows, and just touch your arms and come on out. Whew, you could come up or down depending on what that felt like to you. So it's like a funny way of going towards crow. And it's not like I think that's the best way to do it. It's more like what I wanted to feel was like that lift and stack as opposed to coming like from the back to the front. I'll show you what I mean. So when we start to come into crow pose, Bakasana, I like to practice it with my feet together and knees apart. We did that on our backs. I like to get a good hand placement and charge things up here. So if you're not coming into crow pose today for like a myriad of valid reasons, this is actually a really great place to charge up all those same muscles and get a good stretch and strengthen at the same time. If you're going further than that, a lot of people will try to come into crow instinctively from here. So they bend their elbows and they try to come forward, and it doesn't really work. It's really hard to do. Maybe you get a foot up or not. And really, it's a physics issue more than anything else. So you want to get your hips higher than your shoulders. So that lift that we were just working on, you can lift your hips up, bend your elbows, and then bring your knees up above your arms. So the more you can get your shoulders down and your hips up, the more you'll be able to find this stack. Press into your hands and feet, hug everything up towards the center. Whew. And then come on out. I like Malasana between crows, but you all know I like weird stuff. So do what you like between crows. I always try to stretch my wrists between crows. Really, we don't need to do too many of these in a day or a session or a week or a lifetime, right? We don't really need to do this. So, taking care of your wrists, doing arm balancing, hand balancing mindfully will like increase longevity of your hand balancing. So, go easy on yourself. If you'd like to play with one more crow or stay in a Malasana squat, you can help yourself there. I'll get into mine from standing if you want to watch how I do it a little quicker, like when I'm just practicing as opposed to like teaching it. It was nice to not have to talk. All right. So once you're done with whatever you're doing, you could take a counter pose. Maybe you need a little forward fold. We'll meet up standing. All right. So we're going to roll out our wrists a little bit. We're going to stand on our left leg. Cross the right ankle over the left knee for a standing pigeon. And then if you want to challenge your brain and balance, we're going to write the alphabet with our wrists. I'm just moving my wrists. And you're going to switch sides when you're ready. Shake it out. Do the other side. I was like thinking the alphabet, but I think I was just moving my wrists arbitrarily. The school of thought behind writing the alphabet is that you'll get a bunch of different points of articulation and range of motion without repeating like the ones you just do anyways. All right. So once you're done with that, we're going to find, hopefully you've got a little space at a wall or a chair you can hold on to or like the edge of a desk. We're going to do some down dogs at the wall. Maybe an upside down at the wall, depending on the space you have available. So we're going to come up to the wall or chair. You can do this on the back of a chair or the seat of a chair. You're going to reach forward, bring your hands on the wall, shoulder distance apart, walk your hips back, walk yourself down so that your torso is more parallel to the floor, down dog at the wall. So there's a lot of ways to play this. You could walk them further down, you could keep them lifted, but you want to keep the shoulders up and melt the chest. So not just the armpits hanging, but actually side bodies lengthening. You can press into the wall a little more here. You could bend your knees and reach your hips back. And then walk yourself up. All right. So one option would be to do that again. If you want to go upside down more, because that's going upside down, but if you want to go upside down more, you can turn away from the wall. Also, like, do this at your own risk. Make sure there's not, well, I have a cat right here, but he'll live. Make sure you've got a clear area. You know, they're not going to knock anything over. Come onto your hands and knees with your feet, your toes tucked under and your feet on the wall. So you want shoulders over the wrists. You're going to tuck your toes, lift your hips, short down dog at the wall. One leg at a time, you're going to look at the wall. I'm lifting my right leg. I'm going to put my right foot next to where I think my butt is. And then I'm going to push into the right foot to lever the left leg up to the wall. Press into your hands to do that. See if you can curl like your body closed a little bit here. I know we probably want to open up. See if you can get a little more of that like low ribs to the hips. And then when you're ready to come down, come all the way down. Sit back on the heels, flip your palms up, and just take a moment to either find a little stillness or some gentle movement. Notice how when we stir things up, there's infinitely more to notice when we kind of let things move, when we sit back and watch the result of our efforts. We're going to finish our practice with our legs up on the wall or the chair. So you'll be able to do these exercises whether or not you have access to a wall. If you've got like a little ottoman like this one here, this will work great. You can throw your legs up on that or use it to put your feet on. So we're going to come onto our backs with our knees bent and the feet on the wall. So you might have to negotiate where you're lying, where your mat is, all that stuff. You can get everything you're going to want for Shavasana. So like I've got a blanket under my head already. That might be something you're interested in. And from here, we're going to cross right ankle over the left thigh, figure four with the foot on the wall. So use pressing into your left foot and your right ankle to open your right leg away from your body a little bit more. It might even feel good to press into the foot so much the hips lift. You could kind of sway your hips in a little hammock here. And then we'll switch sides. And when you're ready to come out of there, both feet on the wall, you could press in and lift your hips and put them back down. That might feel good. What we're going to do is roll to one side so that your knees are bent and stacked, feet on the wall. And then scoot yourself closer to the wall so that like your butt is as close to the wall as you can get it. And then you're going to swing yourself up, feet together, knees bent. And you can kind of let your hips settle where they want to with this. You could have your legs way up high. You could have them way down low. And this is where we'll stay for the rest of class. If you'd like to extend your legs up one at a time for like a legs up the wall pose, you could do that. You could stay in the hip stretch. You could come out of this and away from the wall for a totally different Shavasana if you'd prefer. And give yourself time and permission to get all the props you want, all the layers you need. And for the next few minutes, just rest. And start to notice your breath. And just like we started class, start to roll out your wrists and ankles, your head and shoulders, and move your elbows and knees. If you've got your legs up the wall, draw your knees towards your chest. Maybe if you're on your back, you draw your knees to your chest. Either way, roll to one side. Take a few breaths there. One last little offering for our nervous system, just to give it a chance to catch up when we go from upside down to right side up. And help yourself into an easy seated position, whatever that means to you today. And bring your hands somewhere in your lap or on your legs, maybe in front of your heart. And sometimes we stir things up, and other times we sit back and watch them move. And I hope today you got to stir things up and get a glimpse of what it's like to sit back and watch. And how those things are part of the same thing. They're not opposites. They're an ebb and a flow. The ocean isn't two different things when the tide rolls in and rolls out. It's still the ocean. And thank you for watching the waves with me, if you will. I hope wherever you are, you have an awesome rest of your day. Heal yourselves, yogis. I'll see you soon.